like many of you, I was sort of taken aback by the mayor's comments. Wasn't really sure what the intent was behind them. If I'm being transparent, she did reach out to me afterwards, as she did say she reached out to me. We both had a conversation. She did try to clarify her points about, what was the context of what she was saying. Unfortunately, when you throw sort of comments out there like that, the rest of the public tends to, jump on that and chime in, which is sort of more what I was even more disappointed about. You got beef with the Board of Ed and some of those folks. There's ways to work that out. I mean, I get it, it's COVID, right? But there's ways to have conversations still. And I think, the call should be for a little more civility, right? Not just nationally, but here locally. I always get thrown, taken aback when these sorts of things happen, and all of a sudden, teachers are we find ourselves, right, at the center point, or that point of intersectionality, everything that's wrong and everything that's going on, right? If we're really, keeping it real, as the kids say, 1 year ago, pretty much last week, right, we were hailed as heroes. And then to have someone, or anyone, not just the mayor, to come out and make comments that could, be somewhat inflammatory and really attempt to sort of break the morale of teachers when we're doing everything we can to help in this situation with COVID, okay? Let's just be honest. We rebooted education in a year. It wasn't perfect, right? It was subject to tough conversations with the superintendent, with other leaders in the city, right? But yet here we are, right? For us as an organization, anytime any people sort of try to demonize our craft and our career, you're going to hear from us. Because again, people have to understand what's going on in New Britain today. I understand that, folks want to harken back and look at standardized test scores and do those things, which have value. But just a quick lesson on what's going on in New Britain today, here with the press so that everybody understands. New Britain has adopted a particular type of learning and instructional model. Okay? It's called basic, it's got lots of names, but basically it's comprehensive whole child instruction. To be clear, when you adopt that model, right, two things become very evident. It is going to cost you a little more money to do it, okay? But it also is a very good model for dealing with many of our kids are dealing with today. We have a large community of folks in New Britain who are dealing with issues of socioeconomic insecurity, homelessness. We've got a good number of undocumented students that need help. We've got a good population of students with special needs that need help. And comprehensive whole child instruction is probably the best way to level the playing field for those kids. So, for these folks that are pining for the days of yore for standardized test scores, I would say you're misinformed about where education is today. And I could go into great detail about what that is and what it costs. But yes, let's be honest, it does cost more money. It is an investment in children. It's an investment in 360-degree services around that child. The last little bit of data for folks to think about is this. In an average life for a child from K to 12, we're talking about 70 adults will be in that complete path. For our kids in New Britain and other schools that are within our district that have the same struggles, you're looking at about 80 to 85 people. That means more attendance officers, more PPT coordinators, more school psychologists, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, I will never be the person that says we don't need more money. And there's always an argument to be made of how it's used. That's fine, but that argument shouldn't be danced on some social media circus. Everybody should just come to the table. My organization, AFT, NBFT, we're happy to broker it, we're happy to be there, we're happy to support it in any shape or form. But when the conversation gets out into the larger circles of social media and Twitter fingers, it doesn't help our kids and it doesn't help our families. Every day, I've got an army of people that come into this beautiful building, which I will say, I want to thank Representative Sanchez for his tireless years of trying to get our schools funding, to get beautiful schools, beautiful shiny new facilities. But what's more important, and what got lost in this conversation by both people on the Common Council, who should know better, okay, who clapped their hands when we all said, let's do whole child instruction, and all of a sudden have some sort of amnesia all of a sudden as to what it costs, right? But again, these shiny schools are only as good or as effective as the shiny people inside. And nobody mentioned it. So I just want to make it clear. Let's have the conversation. Look, I've had disagreements with the superintendent as a labor leader. right, as our CBA, and we work, through all of those matters as they apply to whole child instruction. But Local 871, we believe in whole child instruction. It's what gives our kids the best outcome. It's not about every kid goes to college. Anybody who's still stuck on that button, you're behind. You're behind in education. So we do support that document the other day. I had no problem signing off on that document the other day, and no one should have any problems. That is a collection of essentially meeting minutes from board meetings that have gone back about 2 to 3 years. So when someone put that all on paper as an educator, I'm just saying here's all the data and here are all the facts, right? And when you fight for whole child instruction, you gotta stretch every penny. It just is what it is, as they say. So my hope from this is I will support anybody who's willing to come back to the table and have meaningful conversations without the circus, like I said, about what our kids need. Our kids are fighting for their lives out there. They are fighting, their families are too. So, and they're all watching. They're all watching me say this. They're all watching all these other folks say it. They're certainly watching what the mayor says. And I'm hoping that moving forward, the conversations could be at the table and not in the Twitter sphere of life, as many of these conversations tend to go. So I thank the folks here, Representative Sanchez, the beautiful folks at Smalley, and everyone else for coming. And